people make the mistake of telling people that they have no money last. You should tell people you have no money first.
Yeah.
That will solve your problem a lot.
This is episode 64 of the Arts Academy podcast. How to do a low budget production, hosted by Victor Varnado and Roxxy Haze.
Hey everybody, here we are. This is the Arts Academy podcast put on by the New York Alt Arts Academy. I am Dean Victor Varnado. This is Deputy Headmistress Roxxy Haze. How you doing, Roxxy Haze, huh?
Hey guys.
All right.
Yeah.
She sounds chipper as hell. Chipper. You what?
I had sugar.
Oh, you had sugar? I'm having a little bit of sugar right now. My coffee has sugar in it, so I have caffeine and sugar together.
Turn up.
All right. Anyway, this podcast is called the Arts Academy Podcast. What we do here is we try to teach you everything about entertainment and the arts that we possibly can, so that you can learn for freezies. Please join our Facebook group so that you can get our free workshops that we do every couple of weeks. Glad that you're all out there. Even though some of you are listening to this later, and very few of you are actually watching this live, but that's the way it is. Sometimes the live show doesn't have as many people on it. That's fine with me. Let's just get this party started, shall we? Okay, so today we're going to be talking about two things in our two different episodes. The first episode that we're going to talk about working with a low budget, and then the second episode we're going to be talking about how to ask for more money. I think that is a really important one that everyone should know about, how to ask for more money. So we're going to talk about that second, but let's start talking about first about working with a low budget. Now, you brought this topic to my attention, Roxy. So working with a low budget, like what does that mean? Like working with a low budget for a film or just in general, or what do you mean?
Well, it was actually a request from the student group that you talked about that we have on Facebook. I think from the person that asked, I think they were talking about maybe a movie, but I just personally would like to know for any type of thing. So also for like maybe trying to pitch a show and it's low budget, maybe trying to like anything low budget.
Right. I mean, I feel like the important parts about working on a low budget are hiring people or getting people to work for you. They're about scheduling is a thing. Scheduling is a big thing, because if you can't command people's time with money, then how do you command their time? And then the other thing that I think is most important is things that bring production value to whatever you're working on. And being creative about how to get production value. So I was thinking that maybe we should talk about those three things.
Okay.
All right. You're on?
I'm with it.
All right, let's do it. So hold on a second. I just got a text that I may have to answer really quick. I'm so sorry. Even though we're doing this live, they said, okay. Okay, so someone was saying that they liked. So I was just at a college course, and I was a guest judge viewing students' work. And when I was viewing the students' work, I was telling them what I like and dislike about films. And then someone from the class just texted me that they loved one of the quotes that I said, which is, "I hate when films ask me to be patient."
That's a good
and I do. I hate it. Like, get to the point. Come on. Let's go. Where's the guns? All right. So,
so you don't like indie films, like where it's really slow?
No, I do ask indie. I do like indie films, but a film can have a slow pace without being boring.
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm just like, if films are like, wait, the good part's coming, trust me. If I feel like I'm waiting for the good part, then your film is screwing up. Okay, so let's talk about hiring people when you don't have a budget. Okay, so now, if you go out there and you go out on forums where like a lot of crew people hang out, and you're trying to get like a camera person or a director or a producer to work on your play or your feature or whatever it is, you're going to get a lot of flack from people when you say, "I don't have any money." Okay, because usually what people will do is they get mad and they go, "You can't ask people to work for no money, blah, blah, blah." But that's not really what they're mad about. What they're mad about is how it's presented. people make the mistake of telling people that they have no money last. Okay, you should tell people you have no money first. Yeah. That will solve your problem a lot. Like, I actually have made a lot of productions on very little money, and really good ones too. I made a music video once. It was with a friend of mine. We were making this music video. There was no reason to make the music video. We were just like, let's make a music video. It was going to be fun. And I wanted a professional cinematographer because I wanted to look a certain way. So here's what I posted. And so basically, and I wanted a professional cinematographer. I don't know if you know what their rates usually are, but you can get a professional cinematographer to work on your set one day, just like their body, just get them like to appear in your set. Usually it's like $700 plus for like one day. Okay. A professional cinematographer. I had $100. Okay. And then, so basically what I did was I made a posting and I said, hey, I'm making a music video. It is low budget. It's a personal project. I have $100 for a cinematographer. You should take this job if you live near this shooting space. You live near where this is going to be shot, and you have nothing else going on. I have a camera and I have lights, so all you have to do is walk in the door and then shoot. Also, I have all my shots planned out so that we can shoot this fast. I will not waste your time. And so I posted all that, and in a form where people do get mad about people posting for nothing, but nobody had a problem with it because I started out with saying I had no money at the top. Also, in order to get someone to do it for cheap, I made it easy for them. I did all the work that I have to do. A lot of people will try to get people to work for cheap, and they'll treat them like they're paying them $1 million. Okay? But when you're not paying people their rate, you treat them like gold. You have to. You just got to treat them like they're gold. And so I do this all the time too. Like, even when I have people who work with me in whatever, like you work with me right now, and when someone works with me, I treat them well. I try to loop them into good stuff. I try to give them benefits of working with me if they're working with me for like less than what they could probably get out there. I treat people who work with me for very little money like gold. So those are the two things. One, always tell people the money first. Don't save it for last. And I know the inclination is to save it for last because you're like, I want to get them excited about my project, and then at the end be like, okay, this is how much money I have. No.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, tell them first, hey, this is a low budget project. This is how much money. This is what I need you to do, and this is how I'm going to make it worth your time. If you present things to people in that way, that's how you can get people who are talented to work on your lower budget projects. It's just money first, then what the project is, what they're going to need from, what you're going to need from them, then how you're going to make it worth their while. Okay, because just think about if the roles were reversed, what would you want to know? Do you want to get excited about a project and then have somebody spring on you at the last minute that they're not going to be able to pay you your regular rate? No, you don't want to go through that. So don't put other people through that. Remember, tell them money first. That's the best. That is the number one way to get people to work on your project for a low budget. Another way is learn how to do things yourself. Okay. The way the world is out there right now, there are a million places to find out how to do things. Like, you can go to YouTube. There's so many YouTube videos about how to make stuff happen and get things done. There's Skillshare. There's Masterclass. Like, people are sharing information like crazy. You can learn how to do most things yourself. The more that you know how to do things yourself, the easier it's going to be. Here's one of the benefits of knowing how to do things yourself. It's not having to do everything yourself, but it is being able to direct people who are less skilled in order so that they can do things for you. For instance, if you teach someone a skill, they're more apt to work with you for less money. I've had people work with me before where I'll be paying them like I'll be paying them minimum wage to work with me, but during that process, I'll teach them how to produce. I'll teach them how to edit. I'll teach them how to do as many things as I need done. So my project I can get finished for a lower budget because I know how to do things. Even though I don't have the time to do all those things, I can pass on that knowledge to other people, which they will be grateful for. And it'll also make it worth their while. For instance, if you have a film and you need somebody to hold a boom and a boom pole, if you have somebody work on your film and they have absolutely no experience, but you've got the boom, you've got the mic, you've got the recorder, and you show them everything they need to do to work on your film, you've just taught them a skill that they can go out and earn more money with. So learn how to do things and pass that information on. That'll make people happy to work with you. The very last thing is canvas your friends. Get your friends to do stuff. You'll be surprised at the skills that people will have. I wouldn't say just like go up to people and ask them, hey, do you know, can you edit or whatever? I would say, like, if you've got a group of friends that you're maybe all in the same Facebook group, put a posting, say, hey, I'm working on this project. It's really low budget. Here are the things I need. Does anybody know how to do any of this stuff, or is anybody interested? And then you will have people who will just come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, you know what? I dabble in After Effects. I could do one or two things for you. What do you got? Mm-hmm. So rely on your friends. To get your thing made. That's a very good way. As far as like hiring goes, those are the 3 tactics that I do when I'm working on a low budget project. Do you have anything like that you do, or is that a surprise to you or any of that?
While you were talking, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of what I was doing. Like, I'll be doing stuff and not realize what I'm doing. I'm just kind of doing it. One of the other things I do that people hate, but it works if you can do it, is offering exposure. If you have something that's actual exposure. So because I have a lot of followers, sometimes people will do stuff for me so that I'll post them and then get them work after. What would you call it when, I guess it could be exposure too. So another thing I do is like, hey, I don't have money, but if you do this thing for me, I can link you with somebody that I know wants a cinematographer that's willing to pay. So is that just networking, I guess, offering networking opportunities?
I mean that is, but I don't hold out on people. I don't do that. I don't be like, I wouldn't be like, hey, work for me and I'll hook you up with this person. I would just, I mean,
well, I just say it like, hey, I know somebody that wants it. Not if you do it, like I still hook them up. Not like if you don't do it, I won't give you the name. So not like that, but just people know that I know people that want stuff, so they'll do stuff for me to kind of, I don't know what you call it, bartering.
Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of. I guess it's kind of bartering. I mean, I think the thing that I dislike most about the entertainment industry is how people hold out information on people. Like and that's actually what this podcast is all about. Just like laying it out there and just telling people whatever they need to know or hear. And so that's what I like. That's what I like to do the most, is just to give people the resources that they need. And I feel like exposure is a real thing, but it's not usually a thing that I mean, it has to be real exposure, like really useful. For instance, like if someone wanted me to do something for exposure, it would have to be a very small amount of work for a lot of exposure. It would have to be. Like that's just the way it would have to be. It would have to be a very small amount of work for me for a lot of exposure, and it better be real, tangible exposure. I mean, I think that pitching people exposure is just not a good idea in this day and age. Like, people have heard it so much that they all hate it.
But a lot of people are super social media thirsty too. So,
well, yeah, I mean, social media now, that type of exposure is actually like a real thing, but it depends. Like, if someone who's got 4 million followers is going to, what?
Oh, I was like, yeah, I ain't popping like that.
No, but if someone does have 4 million followers and they tell you to, just check something out or whatever, that can actually translate to money. Like, if that exposure translates to money, then great. But then again, if it doesn't, then you're out of luck. So I'm not a big trading for exposure person, but I realize that is a currency. Yeah, I totally understand that. All right, so let's talk. So we talked first about hiring people. Let's talk about scheduling. Okay, so how do you schedule around people whose attention you can't command with money? Like, you can't say to them, "I'm giving you $300 a day. You better be 8 hours a day ready to go."
Got you.
How
Go ahead. Do I do that?
Yeah, how do you do that?
When's the last time I did like a production? Okay, when I was doing like my sketch show, I made like a spreadsheet, and I was just like, hey, what days are you available to do stuff? And they would kind of fill it in on the spreadsheet, and then we would just kind of work around like whichever day most of the people that we needed were available.
Right. I mean, I think that's a great way to do it, like schedule like that. I think the easiest thing for me when I'm trying to schedule around people when there is no budget is to make it like a club, just like it's, Sunday. Sunday is the day that we do this thing, and then when I ask people, I pitch that at the top, so that people know that. And I always try to make it like a recurring thing that people don't have to commit a lot of time to. And again, it's another thing where it's like, make it worth people's while. And you should be prepared. I think the biggest problem with people working on things for very little money is the people who are in charge not doing their part, not really just killing it in being a together producer. Like if people just don't have their, I don't want to swear, but I'm going to swear. You're going to have to beep it up. People don't have their shit together. Then you got to, I mean, that's what it is. Like if you're at the top, if you're at the head, like you need to not waste people's time. That's the most valuable thing you can do. In fact, people will work for you for free often if it's always a good experience. If it's not a good experience, they're not going to do that. And the thing is, you don't want to have people work for free for you for very long. Whenever you can, you want to pay people. Like I pay people, even when it's not a lot. Like I have podcasts that I do on the side, and I pay people like $10 to appear on the podcast. Even though it's a standard that even on like giant podcasts, they pay people nothing. Yeah, but paying people $10 is just something you can do.
Bless you. I kind of do a similar thing. Well, I usually will break people off at the end, like later whenever I get some money. I'm like, hey, I know I said you were doing this for free, but I got some money, so here's some cash out. It does make people feel good, especially if they thought that they weren't going to get paid. If you get some money to pay them,
yeah, it's super helpful. Just like if you have the ability to do it, just like pay them something, even like just because basically what happens if you pay people something, what that does is you don't wear out your welcome. If everything's always free, you're going to wear out your welcome. And if you just try, like even if you have very little, just try to pay people something, you don't wear out your welcome like you will if you're just always asking for stuff for free. So that would be my goal, is just like, don't wear out your welcome. Try to pay people something if you can. Just try to pay people whatever you can pay them.
Agreed.
And the last thing is production value. So whatever you're working on for very little money, you're gonna have to focus on production value in one way or another. That is, I mean, and this is a broad subject, production value, because what are we talking about? Are we talking about a web series? Are we talking about a podcast? Are we talking about whatever you're talking about? What means production value? Is it a film? It means production value for whatever project it is. But the simple answer is to just be creative and don't be afraid to like roll up your sleeves and work hard. Because honestly, anything you want can be solved by just being creative. Give me what's one of your projects that you work on? Like, tell me one of your projects you have going on, Roxxy.
Right now, I'm working on the animated series I'm working on.
Okay, so you're working on an animated series, and what stage are you on in that project?
We are in the pre-production, the super pre-production. So like I have the first draft of the first script, and I actually took your advice. So instead of just starting it off as a animated series, we're going to start it off as like a web comic thing and then turn it into a comic book and then try to get it picked up as an animated series. So we're in the whatever that middle part is.
Gotcha. Okay, I see. And so, wait, is it a webcomic already?
Well, we're trying to get into one now. So we're taking the first script and turning that into a webcomic. So we're like character develop, drawing out the characters and stuff like that right now.
Okay, so I mean, that's actually an interesting thing because for animation, it's a weird thing to ask about production value because with animation, to be honest, like the only thing that is keeping your production value low is time, because people have made animated films. Like, in fact, some people have made features by themselves, and all it took was time. Don Hirschfeld, do you know that guy?
I don't think so.
He did a famous, I think, Academy Award-winning animation called Rejected.
So Victor was talking about the different things to do for low budget. I'm trying to think if I have any advice because I always realize things during this podcast that I actually do have way more experience doing a lot of this stuff than I thought. I was just doing it on such a small scale. I didn't realize like that's what I was doing. So one of the other things, and we actually talked about this in another podcast, one of the other things to do if you don't really have any money and you're trying to get people to do stuff for free, is to make sure to feed them. Like, at least have food. If you don't have anything else, you need to at least have food. If you don't have food, another thing you can do is be like, hey, I can take you out to lunch later. Like, I can't take you out to lunch right now, but I can take you out to lunch later. I could feed you guys or something like that. You can also even get sponsors. So what I've done a couple of times is when I have a production coming up, I will message different restaurants and I will message different food spots and say, hey, I'm shooting a film or I'm shooting this thing for the internet. If you will provide us with lunch, I will, once again, it's me using exposure. If you will provide us with lunch, we can film a little mini commercial for your restaurant or whatever, or I will post all of your stuff on my social media. And especially like smaller businesses, they want that exposure. They want people to come in there. So doing that will actually get more people to want to do stuff for you for the budget that you don't have. What else have I done? A lot of the stuff I've done is also illegal. I'm going to be 1000% real with you. So I'm not going to tell you to do that. Like, oh, I worked at an office. So if I needed some paper, just like, steal a pack of paper. Sometimes you just got to get on klepto mode a little bit. But it works. It works. Like if I have to print out scripts, I may, steal a stack of paper and print out some stuff. But I'm not advising that. But I'm just telling you, in the heart of transparency, I have definitely done that before. What else can you do? And it also just depends on what you're doing, period. I work with a lot of comedians and all that kind of stuff, and we primarily do online sketches. And a lot of people think that they need to do a lot to do online sketches. You really don't. We said this multiple times in other videos. If you have a phone and a little tripod, you can get a very small tripod off of Amazon. Get your phone tripod. It's like $10, and you can shoot most things that you want to shoot. Super cheap. Super easy. You just need a phone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back.
Oh, I had to reboot my internet. Something went crazy. So sorry about that, everybody. I love you. Sorry.
I got to edit my part out anyway. I was like, sometimes you got to steal a pack of paper from work to print out scripts. I was just trying to figure out.
Larceny, grand theft larceny.
But yeah, I realized I'm like, oh yeah, all the sketches and all of that stuff I've done has been low budget productions. So yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I mean, but I was what I was trying to say was like, animation is a weird thing to talk about because like the only thing that's separating you from having something that looks like it's higher budget is time. But like when you're talking about other things, think about the fact that like almost everything that you might need for your production, someone is probably throwing away somewhere. And if you're willing to help people get rid of things, you can find things for your production all the time. I've done that a lot. Like, think about you could get a barbershop chair. You could get a model airplane. Like everything that you could think of, people are probably throwing it away. Look at Craigslist, curb alerts, like all that stuff. Like there's tons and tons of stuff out there that people are getting rid of. A lot of times businesses get rid of old computers, schools do. I can't tell you a thing that other people aren't just throwing away. In fact, like think about right now, like a lot of people have like old phones in their house. Like sometimes you might need a phone that needs to be destroyed for a movie scene. That's stuff that people have. Like the thing that a budget gets you is it gets you things faster that you need, but you can still get those same things for nothing.
Yeah,
if you just are like clever about how you make it all happen.
That's smart. Thrift stores too. Thrift stores throw out a lot of stuff. I worked at a thrift store for community service, and yeah, they throw out like a tons of stuff, like really, really useful stuff, but it's just stuff that they can't sell. But yeah, if you're making a movie, you can just go get it for free.
Yeah, and thrift stores are great, especially I love thrift stores and like super cheap stores, like $3 shirt stores. I love those for costuming for movies and stuff, because you can buy duplicates of things. You can easily make characters dressed in the same way. You could work with a palette. Like for $20, you could dress your cast in a palette that works together, which is something that you just normally like like a wardrobe would cost like a lot more. Like it's just planning. So the thing that brings up your production value is mostly planning and just being creative about how to grab things from other people. Those are my tricks.
I have a question real quick. How far in advance do you usually plan out for your productions?
It depends on the production.
Okay.
If it's a large production, then I plan out much farther than if it's a small production usually. Well, I mean, it depends. Sometimes small productions I plan out really far ahead of time too. It just depends on the production. Some things I think about for years before I even act on them.
Oh, dang. Okay.
I mean, this whole podcast and school thing was a thing I thought about for a year before I even actually started making it happen, and now it's like actually moving along, and so I'm happy with it. But yeah, so it depends on the time.
Okay. What's like one of the first steps that you take when you're planning something out?
It depends on what it is. So like if it's a movie, one of the first things I do is it's alone. It's writing alone. So it's just like writing the basic story. Like I have at least 8 script ideas for features, and they're all mostly just they're mostly in the form of a 1-page synopsis. So like when I get an idea, it'll become a 1-page synopsis pretty quickly. Okay. That's what I'll do for a film, but it just depends what it is. Sometimes it's just like I'll make a list of things that I want to do. Like I'm working on a funny album, and it's just a list of like these are song ideas and things like that.
Okay.
So it just depends. How about you? What do you do first?
I'm everywhere. So it's kind of like okay, for like sketches, it's kind of the same thing. I'll come up with a sketch idea, and sometimes while I'm writing it, I do the thing that you said in one of the other episodes. Like while I'm writing it knowing that I'm going to film it. So I'm already kind of writing using the resources I know I have.
Gotcha.
So, and that's the main thing I do anyway is sketches. So I try to write with the resources I already have, so I don't really have to spend any money. And so I know that, hey, I know for sure like these people will act in it, so I can write the characters to be these people, and it's already in the sketch when it's done. For like I'm writing some films, but I haven't gone into any pre-production. I'm still just kind of writing them. So I'm trying to figure out what the next step would be in making it a thing.
Got it. Well, then I think we're at the end of this subject, and we should go on to the next thing. So if you guys are out there listening to this, I'll let you know that we can be found at altartsacademy.com, and we are the Arts Academy podcast. I'm sorry, Alt Arts Academy on all social media, and the Arts Academy podcast.com.
Correct. Yeah.
That's right. And so check us out, because we want to hear your questions, and we'll try to answer them as best we possibly can.